Hi, everybody. This is Cheryl, and welcome back to Cyber Training with Epiphany. I hope you all had an amazing holiday. I did. It was just me and my boys, and which means I didn't have a lot of cooking to do. Okay, because they're super picky. If I made a huge pan of macaroni and cheese. Okay, that could have been it. My boys would have been perfectly fine with just that. But I made a couple other things. I didn't make what I typically make because they don't eat that. So like stuffing and stuff, like they really don't get into cornbread stuffing and greens and all that stuff, right? So I sat that one out. I might do that for Christmas, but I didn't do it this time. So that saved me a lot of time. So yesterday I just ate and I just vegged out for the rest of the day. Okay, which is wonderful. But this morning I made my vision board, and I'm going to show that to y'all before I get off. But today I want to talk about teaching cybersecurity. Okay. Now I am working with a couple of cyber programs right now. Y'all know I've already told you I've created with my subject matter experts curricula for our Cyber Future program, which is for boys 6th to 12th grade. I am working with another program in helping to put together their curriculum. They already have their curriculum, but I'm just, designing it in a more presentable and, easy to understand way for a program for girls from 10 to 15 years old. And I am working on a pilot program, cybersecurity training for 10th, and I think it's 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders for the beginning of the year in our Stafford County over here. And I've worked with the federal government on their reskilling academy, teaching current federal employees about various aspects of cybersecurity so that they can, be reskilled and move into those positions from their current position, like in HR, procurement, wherever they are right now. So I assisted in that. Now, okay. So for all these instances, we have teachers. Okay, we have instructors for all of this. All right. Hold on, let me get to my thing right here. Okay. We have instructors. Now, working with subject matter experts who are normally the people instructing, okay, which makes sense. Okay, which makes sense. Which are normally the people instructing. I have to tell you, so I'm in learning and development. That's what I do generally, for any kind of program, not just cyber. Okay, but I'm moving more into cyber because I love that area. Okay. Now, what I have seen, especially with the way cyber is, I've already created videos about how, cybersecurity, this field is very heavy with males. Okay. There's a lot of testosterone running around in cybersecurity. Okay. And along with that is a lot of ego. Okay. Now, learning and ego don't go very well together. Okay. Because you have to be open. You have to be willing to say, I don't know, in order to learn. You can't learn what you already know. Do y'all know that? Do you know you can't learn what you already know? Yes. Okay. So what's happening is in the classroom, the instructors who are instructing for these various things that I mentioned, okay, and I have been in some courses too, all right. Now, we go to people like that for their expertise. That's why I use them to help create the course, because about this thing intimately, okay, and your knowledge helps create the content. But at the same time, you have to realize, you out there I'm talking to who are instructors of cybersecurity, okay? You have to realize that your knowledge is also a constraint. It's a barrier. It's a limit, okay, for the people that who are learning. All right. Now, let me show you something right off the bat here. I had a conversation. Let me pull this article while I'm talking to you today with a lady who on LinkedIn. Well, let me share my screen with you real quick. And in that conversation, all right, y'all, I don't know what happened. My internet went haywire. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that. Okay, I don't want this one. Let me try to find this article again. Share my screen. All right, let me find it this way. So when you're teaching a cybersecurity training class, no matter what the topic is, if you're talking about, you know, networking, if you're talking about using Linux, you know, anything like that, it's really important to know why you're there. Like what are you there for? Okay. Now, we don't normally look at that kind of stuff. We just assume that, you know, that we know and that the people who are there know. But are you really there so people can learn about Linux, about networking? Or are you there so you can talk about everything you know about Linux and networking? Which one is the priority? Okay, because depending on the one that's the priority, whether you're there for actual learning to take place, or if you're there to just vomit out everything you know about a topic, and you know that's going to cause you to act in certain ways and to do certain things. Okay, Now, if it's a talk, if it's a speech, that's just what it is. It's a speech, okay? So you're up there giving a speech about Linux, okay, which is fine if that's what people are asking for. But if it's about learning, okay, then and if you're used to being the expert in the room, if you're used to people coming to you to answer the questions that they have about ethical hacking and networking and programming and all that, okay, but in this instance you want people to actually learn, that's going to be a little ego bruising. Okay, now let me tell you why. Let's try to share this thing again. Computer, act right now. Okay, you're making me look bad. Come on now. Okay, let me see if I can open this, share this with you. Here it is. All right. And I say it's ego bruising when learning has to happen, because as this article is saying, you got to shut up. Okay, stop talking so damn much. All right, now listen, and that's ego bruising. If you're used to being the expert, you're used to people coming to you when they have issues and problems and this, and you got the answer. If learning has to occur, you can no longer be the expert in the room. I don't care how many years you've been doing programming. I don't care how long you've been ethically hacking shit. I don't care. It don't matter. If learning has to take place, you cannot be the expert in the room. The student has to be. Okay? Because they know how they learn. Expertise is not about programming now. It's not about ethical hacking now. It's not about Linux now. If learning is taking place, you need connoisseurs of learning, okay, to be in charge of this space. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's the student. That's the learner. All right. You have to give them the responsibility and the accountability to learn. Do you see that? Okay. So this article does a really good job of talking about what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for y'all so I can so we can zoom in a little bit. Is that all right? Look, that's a little better. Okay. So I just want to go over a couple things in here. You know what? Let me put this over here so I see it better. There we go. Okay, talk less so students learn more. Okay. You see what it says right here? In moments when students are not understanding, we often find ourselves trying to explain more clearly. But sometimes more teacher talk does not offer clarity. Talking and talking and talking and talking isn't making me see anything any more clearly, okay? So the first thing they suggest is to start with struggle, okay? Now, let me tell you, when I was I went to South Virginia University in Newport, Rhode Island for my bachelor's degree in social work. We had to, I had a required class, and it was on, what was it on? Religion, the Old Testament, something like that, right? And the first day of class, we had a test. They had 10 questions on it. I remember this very clearly, 10 questions. Now, I've been going to church since I can remember, okay? All my life, okay? And at this point, I'm in like how old was I? Like in my very early 30s, or late 20s or something like that. So I'm taking this 10-question test, and I know I got every answer right. How could I not? I've been in church all my life, 5 days, 6 days a week sometimes. I got every one of them questions wrong. Every one I got wrong. First of all, I was devastated because I thought I knew. Then I was like, this teacher don't know what the hell she's talking about. Okay. Then I was like, man, how can I not get these right? Like, so now I'm curious. I want to know how is this not right? So that me falling that first day, me struggling that first day. And the teacher, that was the first thing we did when we got in, was take that test. She barely said anything, okay? Me struggling and falling and failing where I thought I knew was the fuel I needed for that entire course. Because, okay, now I want to know. I want to know why I'm wrong. I want to know why this didn't work. Do you see what I'm saying? The fuel for me to learn was internal. It wasn't because she sat up in front of class for 2 hours telling me why I needed to learn this thing, okay? The fuel was internal. Anytime you can get somebody in your class to create an inherent desire to want to learn, your work is done. Your work is done. That's it. You know, so I was learning in class, but I was also like after class, you know, I was researching even more stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? If you start with a really good struggle, you know, design something into your programming course, into your ethical hacking course, where, you know, where they fail, it's a fail-safe environment, you know, because as much as possible, you want your students to have an inherent desire to learn more, and not just do it because you're the teacher and you telling them to do it and they got to do it so they can get an A. Do you know what I'm saying? That's learning. And that might hurt you, because what you want to do is vomit everything you know about this thing the first hour. Tell them how wonderful you are as a teacher or whatever. That's what you want to do, okay, as an instructor. Like this. Zip it. Zip it. Let them just jump in there feet first. Let them do that. Okay. And that goes with reduced teacher talk time. Okay, you see that? A few simple strategies to help shift the teacher from lecturer to facilitator. You want to facilitate the learning, okay? Especially now. Now, one of the most unpopular things that I say right now to people is that when it comes to learning, nobody needs you. Nobody needs me. When it comes to learning, the reality, the truth, nobody needs you. People don't like to hear that. That's why it's unpopular. Nobody wants to hear that. But that's the truth, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. The adversary, the people who are out there that we're spending millions and billions to protect customers and ourselves against. Many of them didn't go to any kind of class, self-taught, or they're in their own like meetup groups or something. You know what I'm saying? They're motivated on their own to find the answers and to create the various things that they're creating and the malware and all this other kind of stuff. They're doing that on their own. Nobody needs you. So how come on their side, you know, they're not going to, you know, hacker courses at universities or whatever, but over here we feel like we have to do that. You know, I don't know. I'll have to research this because this is, you know, very I'm curious about this, but I want to know how many malicious hackers have certifications. Go get the certification so that they can then, you know, maliciously hack. I'm wondering about that. Okay. I'm just asking. Look, I'm not saying something should be or shouldn't be. That's just a question I have. But what I'm trying to say here is that nobody needs you. Okay. If I want to learn something, I'm going to learn it. Okay. If your students want to learn programming, they're going to learn it. They're going to learn ethical penetration testing. They're going to learn that. Okay. Now, with that as the reality, as you're not needed, how can you then add value to a learning experience, to the learning environment? Okay. Creating some kind of structure for these students. Okay. Just the space, you know, for them to be able to safely and, you know, ethically do these kinds of things. All right. So this bullet list here goes over some of the stuff that you can do. I like this last one. Observe students as they practice, allowing them to make mistakes, get feedback, and revise. Be transparent with students about the fact that you are in observation mode, which demonstrates that you value their work. The definition of work. Work is physical and mental energy used to produce something. That's what work is. Okay? Physical and mental energy used to produce something. All right? Whatever they're producing, okay, they're working to get that. And for you to show that you're in observation mode, okay, for you to say, you know what, I really value the work you're putting in here. It's not just about the answer, whether the answer is right or wrong. I value the work you're putting into getting that particular answer. But even if it's wrong, you still did work. And I value that. That is valuable. Okay? That's practice. There is still value in all of that. All right? Use questions instead of explanations. When students have difficulty comprehending, our instinct is to consider how we can explain more clearly. Stop. Stop it. Okay, there is a very good technique that I've used for a group. I was helping the group to create a mission statement. We ended up not creating a mission statement because that's really not what they needed. Okay, they didn't need a mission statement. All right. Anyway, one of the techniques is called the QFT, the question formulation technique. Okay. I love this. We don't do this enough. Okay. You know, it's all questions. You put a statement on the board and the people, they have to ask questions about the statement. Okay. And it's like a tier of questions until you finally come up with the top 3 questions. You find out who can answer it. When does it need to be answered? How critical it is. I mean, it's just it's question formulation technique. Please look that up. It's an amazing technique that is not used nearly enough as it should be used in any circumstance. Okay. So use questions instead of explanations. Turn and talk. Students turn to a partner next to them and ask each other, what do you think? What do you think about what we're doing in this exercise right here? What questions do you have? Right about now, a student typically has a question. Who has that question today? Okay, slow down and observe. Okay, just look at what they're doing. Provide non-teacher scaffolds. Okay, and this is a really good one. Please go through these. You look at that 3rd bullet. Use clear teaching points paired with visuals. Visuals are so important. So for the I'm facilitating a thing this upcoming Thursday. I plan on using Legos, okay, because we're going to do some Lego series play to come up with what we're trying to do, what the outcome is that we're looking for. We're absolutely going to use some drawing techniques. I may use the QFT, the question formulation technique. I'll have to look more at the agenda and what we need to do. But engage as many senses as possible, not just hearing. Even ask yourself, if I had to teach this programming course silently, what would I do? If I had to teach this ethical hacking course silently, I couldn't talk, people couldn't hear, what would I do? We need to get out of, we're in such a box when it comes to teaching and instruction. We depend so heavily on this one sense, hearing. And we think everything is going to happen because you could hear my voice. We think you're going to do everything I'm saying because you could hear my voice. Do you see what I'm saying? No. Really think about that. Imagine there is no hearing. All you have left is the other senses. How would you teach this programming course? How would you do that? How would you teach the networking, the cybersecurity? How would you teach it? Okay. All right. What else is in this article? Okay, that was the last part right there. So please go ahead. I put the link to this article in the down below this video. It's very interesting. Get a team together, like whatever you're doing in your organization for training or, in the cyber training, your cybersecurity awareness stuff, y'all get together and ask these very simple questions. Brainstorm about that. about how you would teach it without the sense of sight, even without sight. I just saw it wasn't a job announcement. It was an offer to provide free certifications for people who were, what do you call it? Blind. Okay. For I forget what do you call it? Not clinically blind. What do you call that? People who are deemed blind. Okay. They called it something else though. But that's it. The people, they can't see. And I actually looked up there's a programmer who is legally blind. That's it, legally blind. Who is legally blind, and he still does programming. I mean, he has to use a special, I forget what the thing is called that he has to use, but he's a programmer and he's legally blind. He can't see. Okay. So really think about that. Think about that, because now you're not just creating training. You're creating a whole entire learning experience. A whole learning experience. Okay. Which is different than training. Okay. And how is it different? Imagine that you go to a restaurant. All they serve is carrots, water, and boiled beef or something. That's it. Okay. And that's the only thing you eat every single day. Carrots, boiled meat, and water. Okay. You're going to get tired of that. Now, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. You're not hungry anymore if you eat it. It assuages your hunger. But that's a piss poor experience, isn't it? Think about yesterday, Thanksgiving. Think about y'all did more than eat. You had a whole experience yesterday. If you were with family, you're cooking together, you're talking about stuff, you're laughing, and everybody's eating. They're not hungry anymore. But think about the entire experience that went with that, the memories that you've created, the stuff that's going to be carried on, for years and generations and all that. That's a learning experience. Stuff that I go home and I talk to my family about. I'm calling my girl on the phone. Girl, I just went to this programming thing. It was such a wonderful experience. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a learning experience here. We don't just want to create cyber training, okay? We want to create learning experiences for learners. All right. So again, go ahead and read that article. Oh, this light is bright. Read the article, take some pointers with you. I sure do, but the thing is that it's like, I feel it's like pulling teeth, because I'm telling you, if you have someone who is used to being the expert, it's very damaging to the ego when they're in a learning environment, because they're used to using people to help them validate how wonderful they are and how much they know. Okay. That's not what happens in a learning environment. I don't care. That's not what happens in a learning environment, not a real one. Okay. Learners aren't there to boost your ego, even though that's what you think they're there for. They're not. They're there to learn, which has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and how they learn. All right. That's all I got. Okay. If y'all have questions about anything, let me know. Hit me up at ypifany@gmail.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it if you think it's valuable to someone who teaches cyber training. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so you can be notified every time I go live. Okay. All right. I will see you all later. Have a good day. Bye.